Hello guys, it's me Stark, and today a different video. Basically, we had a lot of announcements here on the ageofempires.com website, and one of them is regarding a new expansion, which is actually we do have the name here, and it's basically going to be the Last Chieftains. So this will actually be an expansion of the South America civilizations. We are actually going to feature three South American civilizations there. We are actually going to have the Mapuche, Muisca, and Tupi. And by the way, they are all going to have a new shared architecture, regional architecture for the southern civilizations. So different in the similar way as we do have like Aztecs, Mayans, and Incas sharing an architecture, those three civilizations will also be sharing those. This is very interesting. Let's discuss the civilizations a bit. I did a small, I mean really small research there, and basically what we have here. The Mapuche, which was basically a civilization based here on where we have today Argentina and Chile, and those guys actually fought against the Spaniards for quite a while. So I already know what's the campaign history. And one thing that actually got my attention about the civilization is that they did had a lot of contact with the European civilizations, and as you can see here, they are probably going to have a cavalry unit. So by this image here, we can already see the civilization, and they do have this kind of scout unit. So what is this? A regular scout? Or are they actually going to have a different scout which will actually receive a spear? With that said, I can already go for the next, we can already start discussing the technology trees and what to expect from those civilizations. The second one here are the Muisca, and we're actually talking about a civilization that lived here on the top of the mountains. So, but those are actually on the top of the mountain, but in Colombia, different from the Incas that are actually based on Peru. So my expectation here, is it possible that this civilization will actually be the second civilization in the game to have access to the Slinger, the Inca warrior that has bonus against infantry? I think that they could actually have that. And are they going to have a mountain related bonus in the same way that we do have like Georgian units receiving less damage or the Tatars giving extra damage? Are we actually going to have something like that? I expect so, because it will actually make a lot of sense. And then of course we have the Tupi, which is basically a collection of multiple tribes that live it on the coastline of Brazil. So yes, we do have the first indeed Brazilian civilization of the game, and I'm pretty happy about that. So now that I have already introduced it, you for these three civilizations, and we already know that those are actually going to take place. This expansion will actually take place on February. Let me already make some small assumptions on what I expect from the tech trees and how to play the civilizations. I will actually base myself on the original Mesoamerican civilizations, the Aztecs and Mayans, because once they got released, a lot of things were changing there. So basically, I did believe that they might actually have some small deficiencies on the water, unless we have some water rebalance. I also believe that those civilizations are actually going to be very weak against a gunpowder and bombard cannons, in the same way that the Aztecs and the Mayans can actually be. They are actually going to struggle because they are not going to have a siege weapon, a mobile siege weapon to use during the Imperial Age with the same range of a bombard cannon, or even in the same range of a traction trebuchet. So because of this, it's very likely that those civilizations are actually going to have access to a siege run, much like the Aztecs and much like the Mayans, or they are just going to lack it completely. There's one thing that actually got my attention, is that Mapuche civilization do have horses, so we are actually having a civilization which can be at least a lot more similar to an European civilization than a Mesoamerican one. But then I just remember that, well, we did not have like Middle Ages on the South America, so I do not expect this civilization to have full upgraded knights. I don't think that you are actually going to be able to play with the Mapuche and play with like a +2/+2 knight. I don't actually see this happening. So I actually believe that this civilization will be similar to the Dravidian and also to the Bengalis. They do have horses. Some of these civilizations even have like bloodlines, but they have no access to the knight line. So my expectation is that Mapuche will have no access to the knight line. Expectation, guys, this can be a lot different, and once those civilizations are released, we can discuss that. The Muisca and the Tupi are the other two. The Tupi actually had quite some fierce bows there, so I'm expecting them to have a unit. I don't know if this is just an archer skin or if we are already taking a look on their unique unit. If that's the case, I would say that perhaps the Mapuche can actually have some kind of horseman with a spear as a unique unit. The Tupi can actually have an archer. I'm expecting something similar to the plumed archer and the rattan archer, both which are very intense archers there. We also have the fire archer from the Wu. I would say that I would actually expect some fragile archer. The reason is quite simple. Different from the Vietnam, we did not prepare ourselves from this kind of guerrilla, adding up wooden armors or anything. And I don't think that they are actually going to give extra toughness to this archer unit because we already have the plumed archer doing that. Instead, I think that this archer will actually receive like multiple shots. I would say that the archer will be similar, not equal to the Armenian bowman, which I just forgot the name. What's the name of that bowman? Anyway, the composite bowman. I think that it can be actually very similar to the composite bowman because the 2P arrows were actually capable of shooting multiple arrows. So I don't think we can outmatch Britons in range. I don't think we're going to be as tough as the Mayan. Perhaps they are actually going to receive extra arrows, similar to a composite bowman, and perhaps some crazy bonus. I would honestly just give composite bowman to the two-piece civilization if I could. So that's what I expect from their units. About the Muisca, I really don't know. I have a small expectation for the civilization to have the slingers, but since we are discussing on the technology tree, we can already assume that neither of these civilizations is going to have anything like heavy cavalry, elephants, of course not, we didn't have those, and of course no bombard cannon. Because you have a very weak technology tree and options, these civilizations should actually receive some massive boost on their economy, either in the form of economical bonus or discounts. Take for example the Aztecs. The Aztecs already start with extra gold and they produce military units faster. The Mayans start with an extra villager and they actually gather more resources. Their resources last longer. So they actually have some crazy good resources. Let's compare the Mapuche here with the Dravidians. 200 wood for free, 200 wood for free. So perhaps we're actually going to see some crazy economical bonuses, and that alone will actually make those civilizations a lot more competitive than the other American civilizations, Aztecs, Mayans, and so on. So I expect these civilizations to stand around that ground. Another thing that I'm actually expecting is the presence of more regional units. When you actually think about Aztecs, one of the Incas or Mayans, one of the most classical units that those guys can use, apart from their unique units, is the Eagle Warrior, an infantry that came here to solve the mobility problem. I don't think that Tupi are going to have access to horses, neither does the Muisca, but I do think that the Mapuche will. But I'm actually expecting some kind of regional warrior, like, I don't know what they're going to call it, or which kind of unit is that going to be, like a skirmisher or anything. So basically that's my expectation. If I also had to guess on the bonuses, they may have bonuses towards their gold. They have like the Eldorado team going around, so they actually have small saving on archers. I don't know, Tupi actually would probably have some wood related bonus, because basically the Tupi tribe started trading goods with the Portuguese here, especially wood, especially a wood called pau Brasil, which actually was used to later give name to our country. With that said, I would say that a wood bonus is expected for the Tupi. I don't know what to expect from the Muisca, but a mountain related bonus, especially those ones like, hey, if you are on an elevation, you move faster, or when you are on an elevation, you deal like way more damage, such as the Tatar, or receive less damage, such as the Georgian, could actually make a lot of sense there. And then, of course, we also have the Mapuche, which I personally don't know. They are like an Argentinian civilization, so I expect them to have like zero bonuses. With that said, once these we have more information released about those, I'll come back, discuss, and already start to thinking about strategies and elaborating those. See you guys. Bye bye.